Hey guys, I'm here basically continuing the short wheelbase belly dragger, if you will. I made some parts yesterday, basically filmed the process. I made an adapter for the MST to RC four-wheel drive transfer case. The MST generally has the motor and gearbox all in the middle, but I'm not basically not going to be going that route, so I had to make an adapter. So here's my process. I basically went with it old school, made it completely by hand. And if you're someone that likes to do these kind of things or wants to know how to do these kind of things, here's how I did it, or how you can do it, or maybe to give you some ideas and whatnot. So have a look at this, and I'll be back after. Alright, so we got it mounted. Now, in the video, as you saw before, I had made this piece, but I had cut the side areas here wrong because it basically had to go this way. So I started over off camera, and then I had installed it basically with the out drives on the side and the input in the middle, and it don't think it was really going to work that way, but I made a couple of more holes in the plate so I can switch it back and forth depending on what I want to try to do. Basically making this up as I go along, which is usually how I go through my processes of building a custom vehicle per se. This seems to work. I'm not sure if these are going to be quite long enough once you got all the movement of the suspension and so on. As you can see, that just popped off. There's not going to be a lot of movement in the suspension, but with all this, basically, I'm not sure how I'm going to mount the servo, because don't forget, we're trying to make this as low, with the lowest center of gravity possible. So mounting the servo is going to be, am I going to be mounting it like this, like this? I'm not quite sure. And then we got the motor, and I'm going with a planetary gearbox. This is a 4.5 to 1. So this is going to be mounted somewhere along the lines of here, possibly on an angle like that. Again, trying to get as much weight in the front as possible. Maybe try to get this as close as possible. So that's another part of it. In the last video I talked about making links, but I realized MST has a set of links that's already 242 millimeters. So I'm going to be using those. I don't know if it's going to be 242 millimeters with these axles, so we might have to do a little bit of adjusting, but we'll see. But I mean, that's a big plus, making it a lot easier to work with, and they weren't really that expensive. Now, I got the motor and speed controller. Now, I did a bit of digging, and I found these on AliExpress. It's basically an outrunner. If I can get it out of the box. There we go. So we got a little outrunner, a 2050 kV. I like that it's pretty short, and with the gearbox, it's almost basically the size of a motor itself. Now with that, in the same research, I ended up finding this ESC, which is basically Rhino Crawler, 80 amps. Now there seems to be some good reviews on this on YouTube. Seems to work really well, even right out of the box. You can hook it up to the computer. It comes with the USB connection here. So basically unplug this and hook it up to your receiver, or plug it back in and hook it up to your computer. It's a USB-C. I'm going to do, once I hook it up and test it out, I'm going to do a little review on the software and that to get it all adjusted. But from my understanding, right out of the box, the settings are supposed to be very nice for crawling. So we got most of what we need here. We still have to figure out how we're going to mount the shock towers. I've got these I've got these Traxxas shocks, I'm gonna have to put some thicker oil in it, but we'll figure that out once we get to that part. And I'm not sure where exactly I'm gonna mount them. We got some ideas here. Maybe place it down here. There's a place here. There's the standard place, which is here. So we got a couple of options, but I mean, I really like it down here. It really allows us to set it up lower. Like I said, this is going to be a really low vehicle, low CG. Not a ton of flex, but enough, to get it around. There's probably going to be a lot of wheel lifting when we're doing our crawling, but the whole point of this is to get it as low as possible and see what happens. Generally speaking, from what I see online and what's available, everybody's doing long wheelbases, 313, sometimes longer, maybe a little bit shorter, but the average wheelbase is probably somewhere around the 313 mark. And I always like to try to do something a little bit different with my trucks. Like the rat truck that I had done, which was quite the spider when crawling in that, but it had a hard 3D printed body, which probably made it a bit heavier, a bit top heavy, but it still did really well. And it too was a fairly cheap build, so let's see what happens here, and hopefully we'll get some good results out of it. So I'll catch you later. What's up? Hey? Come and see what's up? Meow. You say hi to my RC buddies online? Sure. Hey, you say hi to my RC buddies? This is Skyla, by the way. And of course, I have to touch everything. This is why the door is closed when I'm not there. Say bye.